Hello and welcome to another episode, a very special episode of Spartan Stories here at MiraCosta College. We are really fortunate to have Titi Faleumu with us. Titi was a part of one of the most special groups of student athletes that have come through in relation to the amount of success that they had both on and off the court. We're going to get into the details later. But Titi, first, we're really happy to have you. And let's start with having you introduce yourself to the fans and the watchers.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here and to talk about this stuff. MiraCosta is amazing. But my name's Violeti Faleumu. I also go by Titi. I am soon to be graduating in 2 months with a bachelor's in health science. With nutrition, and I love volleyball. I've played both indoor and sand, and I love MiraCosta still.
Cool. So where you mentioned you're about to graduate, where are you finishing up?
After MiraCosta, I transferred to Benedictine University in Mesa, and it's in Mesa, Arizona, and so I'm very excited.
Cool.
Well overdone.
Congratulations. No, great.
Thank you.
All right. So we're going to, this story, we may not even have enough time. We're going to try to get through it. We'll focus on there's so many amazing pieces to the story. But very quickly, I like to start with, where were you before MiraCosta? What was that like? So like whether you want to talk about your family or your high school, your other volleyball experiences. And again, this is not where we want to spend the bulk of the time, but just to get a context for what was it like before, and then when you were in your recruiting process, what made you want to come to MiraCosta?
Right. So I am born and raised in Oceanside, California. I went to Vista High School, and I played from ages 14 to 17 at SoCal Volleyball Club in San Marcos. And the recruiting process was not at all what I expected. I really didn't expect or actually kind of wanted to stay local, but one of my years, I think it was 2015, I had Coach Doug Wright as my club coach in the 18s. And he kind of talked to me and he was like, I think you'd be a really great fit for MiraCosta. We would really love to have you. We can help you train indoor, and then we'll transition into sand, which will be super beneficial for indoor. And then we can get you out of here and get you recruited somewhere else. And in my head, I was like, oh, it's kind of weird, I guess. And so when senior year rolled around, I was like, okay, I guess I'm just going to go with it, because the recruiting process is really heavy. A lot of emailing back and forth, lots of videos and all that stuff. And so I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go with MiraCosta. And it was the best choice of my life. Loved every minute of it.
Awesome. Okay. So you come to MiraCosta, and tell me about first impressions. You walk in the gym, first week, we're in July. And what was that environment like? Because, and I think this is really important, because soon after this discussion, we're going to talk about how much success you had personally and your teams had. And I think it's really cool to say, okay, well, where did that start from? So can you talk a little bit about that, like the beginnings and your impressions of Coach Kristen Wright and the environment she creates and the culture she creates for her program?
Yeah, I was blown away. I was super nervous because I was like, man, I'm in college now. This is crazy. Vista High and club volleyball was not as serious as Coach Wright took it. So when I first got there, I was like, oh my goodness, am I in over my head? Like, this is crazy serious. But Kristen always set the tone of that we want to win and we will win. And I learned so much. I had a huge transition period myself. I had so much to learn from her because I was rough around the edges, and she she sparkled me. So I am forever grateful for her and for her teaching me everything that I know and where I am today because of her. She set the tone like it was D1. It was not JUCO level. This was D1, and she set the standard very high for us. And I wouldn't have it any other way from her teachings ever. It was always do your best and cheer always, which
Yeah.
is so helpful. And I think that a lot of our success actually came from working so hard and being competitive, but loving teammates like a family. We always wanted what was best for each other. And that meant fighting, like battling against each other. But at the end of the day, we're still teammates, we're still family. And that's what she preached every single day, and that we were there for each other as sisters. And it was that dynamic I had never had in my life before. So she changed me so much. And I am forever grateful for her and all of the success that came from it.
Yeah, you're grateful and I'm grateful as well. So I think for everyone that's watching, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to just go through and just for some context. So here's 2016, which I think was your very first indoor season. MiraCosta won the conference 8-0, and they finished 23-5. And I'm not exactly sure how far we went in playoffs, but we for sure went to playoffs and won a couple games. So then you look at 2017, 8-0 in conference, 26-7. And this is the year that we made the Elite Eight, right? And we made the Elite Eight and we lost in the first round, but it was an amazing year, right? So just those two alone, 26-7. So we're talking about winning more than 50 games in 2 years in indoor season. And then we'll go to the beach. And so this would have been your first year, a perfect 12-0 in conference. So we'll see a theme here, another conference title, right? 23-2. We're going to talk a lot about this season if we have time. Undefeated versus community colleges. And in this year, we won a state championship. And then right before the beginning of this season, which would have been your sophomore beach season, Coach Kristen Wright took a job at University of North Florida. So we had Coach Andrew Bennett, who did a great job, stepped in. We finished second in conference and finished 18-5. However, ended up being the runners up in the state. And so I think this could possibly be, there was a volleyball team in the early 80s that also rivaled this. They won back-to-back state championships. So that team has a conversation for sure in being in this discussion. What's different about you all is that you had a beach season, so you almost got to prove it like twice as many times. But this is just such an interesting piece. So I'm going to unshare this, and I think I wish I had time to show more, but I want to let's show this. So this is from, looks like 2017, probably after a big win, maybe big conference win, or possibly in the playoffs. This is not like your whole team picture, and it's missing a few people probably, but talk to me about what does this make you think of? How does it make you feel? What is it? What was this moment like?
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I loved every moment of this team. When we played together, it was always upbeat, and we were like bulls. We went for it, and no holding back. And we worked so hard to get where we were. I just remember feeling that moment and just being like so relieved and just like grateful that, this team has so much talent and that we used it. I just am reminiscing of that. It brings back so many great memories. It was so fun and cheerful. A really good time.
Yes, absolutely. This was, this was a really, really special group. So I think let's hear, I'm going to do one more thing. So all the championships and all of those things, before we get into the state championship, can you put into words why you think that, like, why do you think you all were able to accomplish that much? Because if we're being honest, there's a lot of talented teams in the state, and there's a lot of teams that work hard, and there's a lot of fantastic coaches. And so when I look at the success that this group had with Coach Wright and Coach Wright, both Kristen and Doug had a significant impact on this program. What set it apart?
I think what set us apart from other schools and other teams is that we had one end goal in mind, and that was to win everything. And we did not care what it took or who it took to get us there. And I think that for us to all be on the same page and not be, catty about things, I think that's what really glued it all together, was that, well, if she's going to do better than me, put her on the court. I'm going to cheer for her. But if she's going to get off the court and I'm going to get there, I'll shine. And we were supportive of each other. I think that's what really helps teams win in general, big championships, is knowing that we're in this together. It's not just an individual person. Coach Wright made sure that we did this together. It wasn't an individual person that was scoring more or had better stats. It was, we each did our own part to make, a machine go. And I really think that's what set us apart, because we all had that same grit to win. We were all on the same page. We were all there to support each other, and we were going to do whatever it took to get there. And that's ultimately what happened. We were just a great team. Like we really worked together on everything.
Wow.
So
You said something that was striking, that is very uncommon on most teams, in that you said, if she's going to play better than me, put her on the court. And that takes a level of buy-in, quote unquote, buy-in to what the coach is talking about, but also maturity and really selflessness about, like, the goal is, it's the team's goal, right? It's not, I have personal goals, but it's the team's goal. And I think that's just such a great message for any young athlete to hear, because it's, everyone could potentially be in that position. And I can tell very specifically with this group, there was a ton of talent, and people probably had moments where they had less role than they wanted, or less court touches or swings. But that's fantastic. And I'm really glad you said that. Okay, so let's get into this. So I don't want to undersell the indoor season, but I have a lot more pictures of this right now at hand. So, and it's on the website. The indoor season, let's mention 2 conference championships, undefeated. You never lost in the indoor season in Pacific Coast Conference play. And you made the Elite 8 your second year. But this was really the culmination of Coach Wright's time here, right? And so I'm going to just scroll through, and this is on our website. Everyone can take time to look at it. This is the group. It was such a special group, and 23-2 overall. The 2 losses were to 4-year schools. We'll look at that. 23 and over community colleges. And by the way, we played great community colleges. Our conference was really tough. The state championships were very tough. So this was not an easy feat. And so here's our roster, which, again, like, we can't do this for every roster you played on, but this roster deserves the recognition and just a quick note. I mean, just all of it. And the coaching staff was incredible. Coach Kristen Wright is now the head coach at University of North Florida. Doug Wright is the head beach volleyball coach at North Florida. Kristen's the indoor coach. Summer Nash, last I checked, was a Division I beach volleyball coach. I mean, Allie was a fantastic addition and a very knowledgeable coach. This was an incredible power-packed coaching staff, as well as a really special beach roster. So let's start with who was do you remember who your partner was? I would assume yes. And talk a little bit about that relationship and how it developed.
Yeah, my partner was, excuse me, it was Katie DeLay, and she was our indoor setter. And I, man, she showed me everything about sand. She is super good at sand. Um, but I had no experience at all in sand volleyball, and so they kind of just threw me in with someone who knew, and that was always normally their tactic, was to put a non-experienced sand player with someone who is, and then go from there. It was so fun because she made it fun while learning to play, but also be competitive at the same time with sand, because I didn't really have that much time to, it was kind of just like, okay, here you go. We're just going to throw you in and you learn by playing. And that's exactly what I did. And so a lot of my love started with her, and she was so patient and just, she was so awesome. She taught me everything that I could have learned at that time at sand. That was the beginning of everything. And so we had a very strong connection, because on and off the court, because we were very close. And she kind of like mentored me through the high school, through the college experience, in the classroom as well. So I really looked up to her, and I think that's why we were sand partners, was because we had a really strong connection off the court, which really helped on the court or on the sand. And so, yeah, I loved playing with her. I learned so much from her, and she's so awesome.
That's cool. I heard you say a lot of really important things there, like how they would set up an experienced player with a new player, and that mentorship, and what Katie really represented, or how she affected you in so many ways. And I think it's another trait that or factor or thing that I think is really worth mentioning, is that on successful teams, it's about so much more than the sport, right? And so you talked about like how she helped you, understand kind of the rigors of the classroom and some other things, and that's just a pretty special thing to hear. And this picture obviously is you and Katie playing, and I think because this would have been where she was a year ahead of you, is that right?
Yes.
So this would have been the only year you played together. So this was the year, if I'm not mistaken, you all were not like a really high seed, and you made a deep run in the Pacific Coast Athletic Conference pairs tournament. And I want to say you went so far that you also qualified to the regionals as a team that really, not that you weren't supposed to be there, but according to your seeding, it was a major, like it was this like incredible Cinderella story of a duo or a pair of beach volleyball players that just kept getting better and like beat teams that they maybe were not supposed to beat. Do you remember that?
Yeah. So usually in these pairing tournaments, I'm pretty sure we were the fives pair. And usually they get beat out really fast because you play a ones team or someone like two seeds higher than you. And we overcame that. We worked so hard, and we were going crazy. Yeah. And so we ended up being a ones team, and and that's kind of where it placed us, was because they were like, oh, wow, an underdog. So yeah. And then that's how we went really far in the pairs tournament. So
that's so cool.
It was super cool. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I remember all of this like it was yesterday. Well, I'm going to scroll here. If there's anything you see, a teammate you want to mention, it just was such a great group. And it was, you mentioned that you all were the fives. And for anyone that knows beach volleyball, it ranks from 1 to 5, but our team was so strong, as our record shows, undefeated. For any other college team, you and your partner probably could have been like a ones or a twos. And this really, I think what Coach Wright brought to MiraCosta a few years before you got here was the entire program that you went through. But I would argue that there you are, that this group really took it to the next level. Like this group, I mean, if you look at what you accomplished 3 semesters, 3 seasons, with Coach Wright, Coach Doug and Kristen, three conference championships, right? An Elite Eight in the indoor, state championship in the beach. It just was like, this is the pinnacle, right? This was just, it's such a great, it's such a great story. So I know we don't have long. We could talk about this team for a long time. I think, let me ask you a few questions before we finish up. So for anyone that is coming to MiraCosta as an indoor volleyball player, talk quickly about how beach paired for you and what you think you gained from it. And you moved on and you played indoor or beach at Benedictine?
Both.
Both. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So just quickly, I don't think we have a long time for this, but I'd love to hear kind of just your thoughts on how those paired and how they how beach helped your indoor game.
Beach helped me so much. I coming into my freshman year of college, and with Kristen, it was obviously a big transition. And Kristen recruited girls who made differences or was a huge asset to high school teams all over, you know, the areas of California or just in different states. So she's bringing together girls who are basically champion set mindsets. And, you know, and that really helps for both indoor and sand volleyball, because it's just like, you have to have that mindset. And, you know, and when we're getting recruited at MiraCosta, that was always a package deal. Well, if you play indoor, you have to play sand. That was always her deal. And I remember going in and being like, oh, I am not playing that. That looks tiring, and all that stuff. But I can't tell you how amazing it did, because I was on and off the court my freshman year, because there's always that freshman magic where you either did good or you did bad. And so after playing, being bought into her, you know, her teachings and everything that she had taught, I was bought in and I worked really hard in the sand. And that helped me so much. Every skill that you can possibly think of, just being in shape, reading the ball and playing defense and everything, all skills possible in volleyball, I gained so much from sand. And then when I came in my sophomore year, I played all the way around and I was like, what? I was doing 20 times better than I possibly could have ever done in my career at that point. And it is so beneficial. I coach club now, and I always encourage girls, you need to play sand. You got to play sand. You're going to gain so much from it physically and mentally. So because of them making me play sand or beach volleyball and then transitioning indoor and seeing that difference, I swear by it now. I think that every indoor player should really try it and give it a chance. You may not like it at first, but it's going to be so beneficial. You learn so many different tools that you can use for indoor. It'll make you unstoppable if you do it. And again, I owe it all to the Wrights.
Yeah, so. Awesome. Okay, so really quickly, if you could give your 18-year-old self advice, or say, like, you know, you've committed to MiraCosta, it's right before you're about to walk into July training camp, and you could just put your arm around your 18-year-old self, what would you say to that person that you think might help them a little bit be ready for the situation? Or what would you mention to them about what's about to come? Like, what would you say?
That's so funny. I think I would say, I would probably laugh at first, and I would say, trust the process. It's not going to be easy, but it's so worth it. It is so worth it.
Yeah.
And probably pat myself on the back and then laugh and walk away.
That's awesome. Okay. The next thing, very quickly, but yeah, however long you need. If Coach Kristen and Doug Wright were here right now, and I wish I could click a button and have them come and join the Zoom. That'd be so cool. What would you say?
I would say thank you so much for making me the volleyball player that I am today and for teaching me everything that made me successful in Benedictine University. And I wouldn't trade any years, nothing. I would trade nothing in the world to come. I wouldn't trade any of those memories ever. They are amazing, and I hold them very dear to my heart. And I miss them. I miss you guys. I miss the whole MiraCosta family. And I just loved every minute of my experience, even the bad ones, the good ones, the hard ones. I miss it. And I'm grateful for them and for both the rights whipping me into shape, because it really helped.
Well, we are grateful for you. And I feel like we could do another hour about your time here. And I think maybe we will, maybe we'll bring, I've told multiple people in that group, like, I'd love to do a little reunion Zoom, and we could record it and hear stories. I think it would be really, really awesome. And to finish, I want to have someone come say hi really quick. Shannon, I need you to come over here really quick. She's gonna be upset because she was not knowing that this was the plan. But Shannon's got to get into one of these.
Titi!
Step in close, Shannon.
Hey girl, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
So proud of you.
Thank you.
So proud of you.
Thank you for everything. Shannon,
Thank you for being
she's
an
the woman.
student.
Okay, so with that, I guess I'll come on the screen. I'll let you go. I hope that everyone enjoyed this. TT really was a part of one of the most, I won't say the most, there's so many special groups that come through MiraCosta, but one of the most special groups. I think it gets a lot of acknowledgement because of the winning, but as you heard, there are so many other layers to that. And so I'm really glad we got to tell the story. Thank you. And we wish you all the best. And we look forward to the 10-year reunion for the state championship. We'll make it special. So.
Yay. I'm so excited.
All right. Thank